It is time for the SBR Madness closing line for Saturday, March 9th. Huge Saturday college basketball card alongside Maxwell Smart and Ian Cameron. I am Drew Martin. We're going to be breaking down as many games as possible. Send in whatever you want to hear about on the chat box. We'll try to hit as much as possible. Also, please let us know what you're looking to bet on the chat box and why. And maybe we can get a group play together. We'll have best bets at the end, but Maxwell Smart, follow him on Twitter at Maxwell Smart 420. My partner in crime. Welcome into the show, bud. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. It was a good night aside from that debacle at Gore Arena with Campbell. It brought tears to my eyes. Local strippers were having to console me, but I'm back. I'm ready to go. I got a whole bunch of these games capped. I already posted a whole bunch of pics on Twitter. We're going to eat today. Chicken tenders with honey are going to be plentiful.
So the local strippers, were they nice to you last night? You know, the Campbell loss, didn't see it coming.
I gotta ask one thing, Drew. Just jump in here. You tell me the local strippers give two shits about Chris Clemens? Wow, I'm impressed. Ooh, they know some hoops.
Max and I have gone over this before. He hasn't had too many in detail conversations about college basketball betting with the local strippers. Have you, Max?
No, it's more they see me cheering, winning or losing, and then last night in particular, I needed consoling. So I had to buy some top shelf Hennessy for the ladies. I had to give them a couple 5s and 10s here and there so that they continue listening and putting their arm around me and telling me, Max, it's going to be okay. So I had a good session with them last night. I also got into a private room, got some lap dances, so that made my my best friend feel good too. So we're ready to go today. Got lots of picks out, lots of games. We're gonna make some money.
And Ian Cameron's ready to go as well. Follow him on Twitter at Babano. Ian, welcome to the show. How are you doing Saturday morning, man?
I'm doing great. I love this week, especially the next few days, because it's conference tournaments, and for the smaller, low to mid-major conferences, we're gonna have NCAA tournament tickets punched in all of these conferences over the next, 2, 3, 4 days. Summit League, Colonial, Big South, the Ohio Valley tournament championships being decided, and what could be a classic tonight between Murray State and Belmont. So many bids on the line to get into the big dance. That's what March is all about.
It is. Tickets being punched. We've got some big games down the stretch in some of the bigger conferences. Last game of the season for some of these guys. We'll hit off on the 12 Eastern tip-offs first, and then work our way down the card, and also add in a degenerate special at the end. But we got Tennessee and Auburn, one of the 12 Eastern tips here on the Plains. Tennessee, a top team vying for a number 1 seed. Auburn, up and down season, live and die by the 3. I'll tell you guys, I mean, I've never seen a team rely on the 3 like this team does. They're talented. However, sometimes they just don't show up. They are at home, however. It is a heck of a home field advantage there in Auburn, underrated in my opinion. But we got Tennessee taking the money up to -2, -2.5 now, with 147 being the total. We know Auburn's going to look to push it. In the less talented team, but they are at home. It's kind of a tricky handicap, in my opinion. Ian, what about you? What are you seeing here? Tennessee, Auburn, 12 noon Eastern tip.
Yeah, there's people that are probably betting up Tennessee in this game and pushing this line up, probably see that, they trust Tennessee a little bit more. Can Auburn win a big game against a marquee opponent? That's something that, they've had struggles doing so far in conference play. You look at their wins, Vanderbilt, Arkansas, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi State was a solid win at home, but they haven't beaten Kentucky, Tennessee, LSU. You've struggled against the elite teams here in the SEC. If you're Bruce Pearl's team, this is their last chance. This is their last chance to make a big-time statement, too, in terms of that resume, that all-important resume for Selection Sunday, guys, which is now, 1 week away? We can't wait for that next Sunday. We're talking with Selection Sunday. So Auburn, it's a big game for them. I expect them to bring it. This is huge for them. I think they're going to be playing with their hair on fire as well as they can. We'll see if it's enough. But I also expect Tennessee to play very well and with a great effort. They're going for the number 1 seed. a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. They know that if they can get a big road win like this, and road win to the committee is very important, especially when weighing number one seeds as well. Who's going to get one of the 4 spots? A road win like this would go a long way for Tennessee. I'm going to take over the total in this game. It's an early start. That concerns me, but I love Tennessee's offense. I think Auburn's going to be able, especially at home where their offense has worked a little bit better, is going to have some success shooting the basketball, putting up some points as well. I expect both teams to go for it, and that leads to some points in this game. Again, it could be close down the stretch. You get some fouls to help the cause. 2 good offenses, 2 efficient, especially Auburn more so at home, but Tennessee especially. Nobody's been able to slow them down from scoring. Schofield Williams has been a tremendous scorer for them. So I like this game to go over the total.
Okay, liking the over here in Auburn, Tennessee. Max, what about you? Is Auburn in the tournament, or what seed do you think they'll be? Or do you think they'll be left out? And also, yeah, your thoughts on this 12 noon Eastern tip in the SEC?
Yeah, no, I think that Auburn's definitely in the tournament. I think that maybe they're maybe an 8, maybe a 9 seed, somewhere around there. I just think that this Auburn team plays night and day difference at home. I think that they're going to really try and speed up the pace. I think that you also have some guys that are going to be playing their last home game as Auburn Tigers today. So I think that will inspire a little bit better performance. If I'm playing this side, which I have not bet it, I lean towards Auburn and the points at home. And I'm more interested in getting on the over, like Ian's talking about.
Okay, so liking the over. Yeah, I could see a lot of possessions, short possessions. Auburn's going to push it and shoot from 3. We got some other big games here. Butler, Providence, kind of the top of the card here. 601, 602, 135.5. The total looks like Providence -2 at home. Ian, did you have any quick thoughts here on this Big East game?
I'd lean a little bit to Providence. I'm not a big fan of Butler. Butler's been up and down. And you could say that about Providence. You could say that about a lot of teams in the Big East outside of Villanova and Marquette. And even Villanova and Marquette have gone through some bumps in the road. Villanova went through a losing streak. Marquette's going through a losing streak right now. But these 2 teams have been very up and down. Butler on the road especially has had some issues. Keep it short and sweet here. Providence -2.5. I actually like that one. I think I'll bet it.
Okay, and Max, what about you? Anything on Providence, Butler?
Yeah, I always consult with my local Providence expert, Dean Williams, a fellow low bagger, goes to Providence, and he's put me on this first half under in Providence games. Over the last 10 or 12 games, it's been quite profitable. I think that this Providence team just happens to turn on their offense and really take it to another gear later on in games. I hope I don't get burned with today, but I think that being a noon start, I'm going to be jumping on the first half under in Providence and Butler, and I'm going to be taking Providence on the first half.
So fellow low bagger, Providence student. How many students are low baggers here, Max? A bunch of them as far as the college age guys?
I think that there's a fair bunch. I think that there's about 10 to 15 that I know that I actively speak to that are going to college right now at schools that we bet on and we look to bet on.
Absolutely. An insight there. Maybe, what the players are doing throughout the week in class or not in class, whatever it may be. In the chat box, guys, welcome in Joseph, Outrage, Raymond. Welcome in, guys. Dan Kelly, it's been a while. How you doing, man? Good BK Capper. Zilu, building in the streets, bits. UNC rolls big tonight. Lay the points, kick up your feet. We'll be talking about that game in a little bit. But just right off the top, I mean, UNC, what did you think of that point spread? It was kind of a tricky odds-making point spread there, Ian, with the UNC game. Were you kind of thinking where the odds makers came out with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating game to analyze because we know obviously what happened in the first meeting between these 2 teams. There was no Zion Williamson, obviously, for Duke. He got injured early in that game against North Carolina, and that's where the injury occurred. And the Tar Heels were the benefactors of that. Duke was scrambling in their rotations. The chemistry and cohesion. If you watch that game, that was totally disrupted once Zion went down due to that injury. And North Carolina took advantage of it and rolled to an easy win. Pretty comfortable win in Cameron Indoor in the first meeting between these 2 teams, 88-72. So it is a revenge situation, though, here for Duke. But talk about a team that's not been doing their backers many favors lately. That would be Duke. Just coming into this game 2-5 against the spread their last 7 games. So they've not been cashing tickets. They've not but they've not been able in the favorites role to cash. But in this particular game here against North Kakalaki, we're not talking about Duke laying points here. We're talking about Duke +4. We're talking about a Duke team now that's coming into this game with a big-time revenge motive. They don't want to lose 2 straight to North Carolina this year. No way. This is a bitter rivalry, Tobacco Road rivalry. And I don't think Duke, especially this late in the season, with now North Carolina in the #1 seed discussion as well for the NCAA tournament. This is now big for Duke. I expect them to play big. This is a game where I expect R.J. Barrett to really shine. I mean, this is a guy that's really got to step up, be big for Duke. He's done it before in some games since Zion Williamson's been out, and I think he's going to have to do that today. It's going to have to be him having a big game, get into the 30s in points, facilitate this team, pass when you need to out of a double team, do that kind of stuff to help out this team since obviously losing a key piece like Zion Williamson. Trey Jones is battling a quadricep injury, but he's expected to play. Cam Reddish has to do better than he did the last game. He only scored 6 points in Duke's last game. He's going to have to be a whole lot better. North Carolina is not an easy team to bet against. You guys all know that right now. This has been a team that's played just absolutely phenomenal basketball. Kobe Jones has been fantastic. Kobe White's been fantastic for North Carolina during this run. Freshman phenom has really risen his game, and North Carolina is on fire right now. Don't get me wrong, but I just have that sneaking suspicion Duke brings it in a big way today. RJ elevates his game. Cam Reddish elevates his game off a bad performance last time out. Trey Jones is going to go even with the quadricep injury concern. I think Duke steps up. I'm going to wait to see if this number rises even more on North Carolina. I'll take all the points I can get with Duke.
Okay, good breakdown there, Ian. And Max, what about you? I guess we can skip ahead to the big game. Everybody's talking about it in the chat. So UNC Duke a little bit later in the day. But what are your views and what's up with Zion? Do you think he'll play in the ACC tournament? Is he for sure out today? And your thoughts on Duke UNC, man?
Yeah, obviously being the biggest game on the board, I have looked a little bit into it, but I'm not really interested in betting it from a side. There's too many question marks, too many injuries that I just can't get reliable information to know and put my money on. So I understand where Ian's going and waiting for the points to just come in on UNC and taking Duke. That's, I think, the smartest way to play it. I'm actually just looking to play this from a total. I've already bet under 165.5 for the full game. I think that we're going to see more defense. I'm hoping that we see more defense. I'm hoping that we see North Carolina really play within the paint where they are using a lot of the shot clock and Kobe White isn't just walking down the floor and hoisting up a 3-point from the top of the 3-point egg. So I'm just trying to hope and pray that North Carolina and Duke don't have one of their high scoring games, and I'm on the under.
Okay, like in the under there. It is a high number, and when you start talking north of 160, can't have big lulls in terms of not scoring the basketball, and hopefully that happens for your sake, Max. We got Trey Franklin in here talking about the Tennessee-Auburn game. Tennessee wins by 7-10. I know this team better than anyone, born and raised here. He also brings up a point I don't think we brought up. We want to beat our old coach, Bruce Pearl. That is also maybe
that's a great angle. That's absolutely correct. Yes, Bruce Pearl's tenure in Tennessee didn't exactly end shining. So, yeah, there's some ruffled feathers from that era.
Yeah, I mean, he used to go shirtless, orange paint, and then had a barbecue or something and invited some recruits. It didn't sound that bad, Ian.
It didn't sound that bad. They blew it up to make it sound that bad. And as a result, he gets ostracized. And the next thing you know, it's he goes out there on a bad note instead of a good note, even though I think they made a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak there.
Yeah, that was a little bit of media kind of bumping it up, in my opinion anyway, but I don't know the ins and outs. And speaking of coaches getting in trouble, what about your boy Will Wade, Ian, down at LSU? Have you read into that at all?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, I liked LSU a lot this season. They played great basketball, having one of their best seasons, and maybe now we're starting to find out reasons why maybe they had one of their better seasons. And Will Wade now coming under fire for this team. You know what? Everyone's persecuting Will Wade without 100% facts, 100% evidence coming through, and everyone's saying, "Oh, throw the book at him, get him the hell out, fire his ass, get him out of LSU, get him out of Baton Rouge." What about Sean Miller? You know, he's still there at Arizona right now. he's managed to keep his job, amidst a ton of scrutiny, a ton of things, shady business that he did under the table. Now Will Wade's all of a sudden, let's get rid of him now, and Sean Miller's still around. Double standard, I think.
Yeah, no, you bring up a good point. I mean, Max, do you have any thoughts here on, betting these teams, and also your overall thoughts on the Will Wade situation and coaching in general in college basketball?
Yeah, I love to bet a team when they're having drama with their coach, when it involves internal issues with a player, like when the Penn State coach pushed one of his players. That was a great spot to bet against Penn State for a couple games, and a lot of us made some money doing that. And as far as LSU individually, I'm not looking to bet on this game or bet against them today at all. This is a game that I'm totally staying away from. But as far as my feelings towards Will Wade, it's like, I'm sorry that he got caught. I don't give a crap that he's breaking the rules and freaking doing what he has to do to get players. I'm one of the people that say, I don't care, grease some palms. Give these guys more than the school's going to give them, because if they don't make the NBA or make professional and they don't get a degree, what are they left with? Nothing. So I'm all about Will Wade doing what he has to do to get the best basketball players at LSU and on the court. And I'm just sad that he got caught, because he's a great coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think that's a good angle there, Max, as far as, all of these players or coaches, college basketball, college football. I mean, it's just a situation where, man, thee without sin cast the first stone, as far as who knows who's really doing this and who's not. It's just a matter of who's getting caught. I think that's a great point, Max. Where do you stand on that, Ian?
You have livelihood, you have money, you have reputation, you have your bravado on the line as a college football or college basketball head coach. If you've got to, I don't want to say stoop to the levels, but if you got to do a couple of little things under the table that could rock the boat a little bit and infringe upon the rules, they're not going to. We've seen multiple examples of coaches not hesitating to resort to those kind of tactics, and it's just the nature of the competitiveness and the dog-eat-dog world that we live in college sports right now. These coaches want to be the best they can. They want to recruit the best players to put out the best teams they can on the football field or the basketball court or whatever sport they can. And you're going to see them just bend over backwards, do what's ever necessary, even if it's bending the rules, to get a player they want to recruit. That's the bottom line. I don't know if this is going to be the end of it. People are saying, "Oh, this is all this stuff that's come out, this investigation that goes back to Pitino and had Sean Miller involved. Pearl was involved in it for a little bit, and of course now with Will Wade, people saying this is going to be the end of it." I'd say BS to that. You could have coaches 5, 10, 15 years down the road still trying these tactics, because that same competitive, fierce environment and cauldron that is college coaching is still going to exist in 5, 10, 15 years. So all of a sudden, all people are just going to be nice little angels now and not do things just to do anything they can to recruit players. I don't buy it. I think you're going to see this kind of shit come up down the road as well with coaches.
Yeah, I think that also from a social aspect, these are coaches that are recruiting players that are in a lot of low-income demographics a lot of the time. So what's the harm in helping the family get a new car or sending a family on a vacation to get a recruit? You're doing good for the player and their family. That's what the NCAA stands for, is supposed to represent, but they don't. So I want more cheating. I want more coaches doing this. I want more players getting rich while they're in school, because they deserve it. They're getting a lot of guys in the NCAA rich, and they ain't getting shit for it. I don't care about a college degree.
All right, guys. We got Ravi in the chat box. Good breakdown there of what's going on. But we got Ravi saying, let's hammer out some picks. So Nasty, N8, best 12 o'clock game to add a money line parlay. Nasty, I would first start with saying I wouldn't parlay. I would bet them all separately, but that's me personally.
There's one I'd throw in there. It's from one of the small conference tournaments. I would put, if you watch the show Letterkenny, you'll get this joke. There's a guy named Jim Dickinson, and they call him Jim Dickskin. Well, you could say the same thing about Fairleigh Dickinson, Fairleigh Dickskin. You can call them that instead. Yeah, Fairleigh Dickskin. But no, the Fairleigh Dickinson, we'll get it right. Fairleigh Dickinson. They're playing Robert Morris, Bobby Moe, in an early NEC tournament game. I think Fairleigh Dickinson's a very good basketball team. I think they're going to advance in that game. I think they're a good money line parlay option early on. I think they'll take care of business. They absolutely rolled Wagner in their last game. That's a very good Fairleigh Dickinson team. Robert Morris escaped with a win in their first tournament game. They had to rally back from a deficit. They were trailing most of that game, won it late. Robert Morris expended a lot of energy. Fairleigh Dickinson cruised and rolled to a blowout win. They could be a little bit of a fresher team as well coming into this game today. Fairleigh Dickinson beats Robert Morris. If you're looking for something to put in a money line parlay from 12 o'clock, that would be one.
Yeah, right. I'll even go one step further. Sorry to interrupt you, Drew, but I'm betting on FDU on the spread today. This team is just they're on home court, so they're playing Robert Morris at home. They've had some tight games with them so far this year, but this is an FDU team that's shooting 45% from three. They play under 30% three-point defense. They're going to get to the line and make shots, and they're deep. They got guys up front in Caleb Bishop and Mike Holloway Jr., and they've had to actually move Xavier Malone-Key to the bench. So you got a spark plug coming off the bench also, along with the veteran experience in Darnell Edge. I hope and pray FDU mops the floor with Robert Morris today. I want to see the Williams brothers, their season end today. I'm done with that Robert Morris team. Give me FDU.
All right, we like them both.
Guys, what about some other 12 o'clock games here? Do you want to talk about the Texas Tech game? That's a 2 o'clock start. So any other 12 o'clock games you guys want to throw out as far as games you've bet already or looking to bet?
I'm done for 12 o'clock, so I don't have much more actually right now with the 12 o'clock slate. TCU, Texas, not much on that game, and I think that's about it. So nothing more at 12. I do like Tennessee, Auburn over, just to recap what I'm on at 12, just Tennessee, Auburn over the total, and Fairleigh Dickinson. I'll probably lay the points, too, with Fairleigh Dickinson myself, 5.5. Even a 5, I think, showing up on Fairleigh Dickinson at home. I think they take care of 5.5 is the prevailing number, but I like that number. I like that price. FDU minus 5.5 and Tennessee Auburn over. Those are my 2 noon Eastern games.
Okay, Max, what about you before we get down to the 2 o'clock slate?
Yeah, I'm going to get on Marshall. Marshall's dominated the series. They won by 12 already this year. They're just very hot right now. They haven't had a game in their last 4 where they haven't scored 85 points or more. This is a team that's getting to the line 75%, hitting their free throws, and getting to the line 24 times a game. Tavion Kinsey is just a great guard coming off the bench. He's really become a triple head for Marshall's offense. And I think that although they are pretty bad in this ATS point range and 3-12 in the day ATS, I'm going to have to get on them again. I'm going to think that they're going to be able to figure it out on the glass versus FAU team. I think that they're going to be able to speed them up. I think they're going to be able to turn them over, and I think Marshall covers today.
Okay, so you're liking Marshall in the FAU game, so we get Jewish sex learners question in there. Anybody got any quick thoughts here on Florida State laying doubles on the road against Wake? Wake, not a good ACC team, but
here's my quick thought, because it's a pass for me. I'm not laying doubles with Leonard Hamilton coach teams on the road. No way. But there's no way I take Wake off a heartbreaker against Duke. Gut wrencher. They gave it their all, fell just short. They may not even show up today, to be honest. So it's a clear pass. I have no idea what to expect here.
All right, guys, let's talk Texas Tech, Iowa State. It's a big one in the Big 12. 2 good teams, 2 tournament teams. Texas Tech now bought up to 2.5, over under of 138, 137.5, depending where you're shopping. I got a little tidbit here on Texas Tech. Been betting them a little bit and would look to bet them here down the stretch. Since they lost to Kansas, their offense has gone from 106 nationally to averaging 81 points a game. That's 1.38 points per possession for Texas Tech. If you've been betting them, you've been doing well. They've also been hitting overs. I'm not so sure I would go to that far in this game as far as totals wise, although if you made me bet the total, I would be on the over just because of the surgence in Texas Tech's offense. But they are, depending what metrics you look at, a top 5 defensive efficiency team as well. So it's a team I would look to bet into March, look to bet them down the stretch here. Betting them to get today against Iowa State. Ian, do you got any thoughts here on Texas Tech, Iowa State?
I'm on Texas Tech, and I know all this talk about how it's tough to win at Iowa State, good basketball team. Cyclones, at home, Hilton Magic. I hear that all the time, every time they play there. But I don't know. To me, Texas Tech is the better of these two teams. I don't think I've seen any sort of consistency lately from Steve Prohm's Iowa State team. I mean, up and down like a yo-yo it's been for them. Whereas I know what I'm going to get from Texas Tech. And I like backing good defensive teams, really, really good defensive teams on the road because defense travels. You're going to take that with you. You're going to take that intensity. You're going to be in the right spots. You're going to contest shots. Why? Because it's in your DNA. It's in your makeup. It's in your personality as a basketball team. You've done it all season, and Chris Beard's team has done it all season. They've defended at an extremely high level, and that's key to frustrating an Iowa State team that has the shooters to obviously cause you some trouble. Let's not forget, Iowa State, a banged-up basketball team. Marial Shayok, questionable to be in this game with that ankle injury. That guy, the Virginia transfer, has been excellent for them. And I'm not just saying that because he's a Canadian like myself and Max. He is a great basketball player, Marial Shayok. So not having him would hurt for this Iowa State team. We'll see if he gets the green light to play in this game. So, it's going to fall a lot on Nick Wheeler-Babb in this game. A lot of things are going to have to fall for him. But Iowa State, to me, not playing consistent. You can't like the fact that just lost back-to-back games in blowout fashion to Texas. But to West Virginia to get blown out like that, I know the injuries and all that, that's a problem. That's a big red flag to me, the way they performed the other night against West Virginia. Texas Tech is going to bring it on defense. They're not going to be in awe or scared of any road environment. Not that team with Culver and a well-coached group by Beard. Play defense, team that's all of a sudden banged up. Iowa State struggling with their confidence. I know they're back home, wanting to avoid a 3-game losing streak. But to me, just from what I see, Texas Tech's the better team. I don't mind at all laying 1.5 or 2 with them here on the road.
Yeah, I'm with you. We got Mikey D saying Texas Tech is rolling and Athletic D, absolutely. Rusty Shackelford, Max, your boy, your porn star name boy. Dom, I love Iowa State. I think they've underperformed lately, but they're a good team. So he's kind of leaning towards the opposite angle. Max, you got anything here on this Big 12 game?
No, I've already bet on Texas Tech. I think that Texas Tech is finally putting it all together at the right time of year. They're playing Chris Beard's type of basketball. Matt Mooney's finally contributing in ways that we've finally been expecting. And I think that Tariq Owens is going to be very critical in this matchup. As long as he can stay on the floor, be a down low presence and a rim protector, I think that Texas Tech is going to be able to shut down this defense and they're going to be able to shut down this offense of Iowa State. Also, I'm hearing from the godfather of volume, Greg Peterson, that there was a fight in the locker room involving Shayok, and that could be impacting if he plays or not, and the chemistry on the court amongst the team right now. So something to think about.
I thought I had high volume of plays. I got nothing on Greg Peterson. That guy bets every side and total on the college board. Regular board, added board, doesn't matter. He's betting every side and total, giving an opinion on it. Greg Peterson, talk about an encyclopedia. Talk about a computer in his brain when it comes to college basketball. It's unbelievable.
Guys, we got 2 more 2 o'clock games here, and I appreciate everybody tuning in early on Saturday. We're going to be doing this tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern time start, going over Sunday's card as well. And we also got the SBR Madness show, 9:30 Eastern. Short clip there, getting you ready for the early tips and conference tournament time. And then Max and I will be back at you at 3 o'clock Eastern time as well, SBR Madness. But we got Florida, Kentucky, another 2 o'clock game here in the SEC. Seeing Kentucky laying 10 at home, 128.5 the total. Guys, the only way I would bet this is Kentucky. I also like the under, so it isn't the only way I would bet it. I haven't bet it yet, 128.5. I like Kentucky in the under. Max, you got any reasons to talk me off of either Kentucky or the under in this one?
Well, we've seen how Florida plays when they're desperate. And coming off that really heartbreaking loss against LSU, I just think that this may be a couple too many points. We haven't seen a dominant Kentucky. We haven't seen a dominant Ashton Hagans on the point. I just think that this Florida team, if they're getting production from Kevon Allen and Jalen Hudson, I think that they have a chance to stay in it. Obviously, the three-point shot has to drop for Florida, and I think that they have to really try and keep this pace very slow. If they're letting Kentucky get out and run and getting Keldon Johnson on the fast break, that's going to be a problem for Florida. They got to contain Keldon. Keldon's going to have some good matchups versus Florida personnel. So I personally don't have a play on the side or total, but I'd be leaning with Florida with the points.
Yeah, Jake, agreeing with you. Florida just put up a fight against LSU. Can see them cover the 10 points. But, Ian, on the other side of that, that was Florida at home. Now they're going up on the road to Lexington. Tough place to play. And in my opinion, a better opponent. How would you look to bet the Gators and Wildcats?
Yeah, I've had a history of when I bet against Kentucky, that's the game they show up. So Kentucky's a team I haven't done a whole lot with from a side perspective. The under does make some sense. Kentucky, we know, great in terms of 10th in the country defensive efficiency wise. Yeah, I mean that's absolutely outstanding at that end of the basketball court. They've just done enough to get by though. In recent games. That's the one concern I'd have with laying this many points. Obviously, Florida's going to look at this as a litmus test. We got to bring our game. But they are coming in off a tough loss against LSU, a game they had a chance to tie or win at the end. And, of course, poor guy falls down. They don't even get a shot at the end of the game. I think Mike White kind of botched that a little bit too from a coaching perspective for Florida at the end of that game. So that's a concern. Kentucky really hasn't been quite the same in terms of leadership too on the court without Reed Travis. I think that's been a little bit of a bugaboo for them. He hasn't played since February 19th for the Wildcats. I think they miss his leadership, a little bit of size in the low post as well with him. He hasn't played for a while, and that's when the Kentucky was playing at a dominant level before Reed Travis got hurt. Now you see them. They barely beat Ole Miss. They barely beat Arkansas. They barely beat a couple of teams at Mississippi State as well. So 0-3 against the spread their last 3 games as well, this Kentucky team. So, the numbers have caught up with them. I don't think they're quite as good without that veteran presence of Reed Travis on the floor. But Florida is let's say their road results have been really erratic at times this year. They've had the propensity to get blown out by teams worse than Kentucky. Let's put it that way. So I can't trust Florida, but not necessarily in love with laying the points. So it's a pass.
Want to throw out one more 2:00 game at you, and then we can open it up to kind of the 2 and 3 o'clock hour as far as what you guys are looking to bet. We got Baylor, Kansas in the Big 12. This one on ESPN looks like 142, bought up to 142.5 is the total. Kansas laying 8, 7.5, depending where you're shopping. Interesting game here. I think Baylor kind of matches up pretty well against KU and catching, a sizable number here. I think Baylor's the side. Haven't bet it yet, though. Ian, you got anything on this Big 12 game?
Kansas is not a team I'm in any rush to back. We know that Azubuike and LeGerald Vick injury absences are just huge for this team, and it's now going to cost them, obviously, a shot at the Big 12 regular season crown. It's going to be the first time in forever Bill Self is not going to have a chance to win the Big 12 regular season crown here with Kansas. So now it's just a matter of – this is when you've got to be paying attention to motivational factors. It's the last game of the regular season for all of these teams in the power conferences. Are you really – I know it's, going to be quote-unquote senior night here in Kansas as it is the final home game for everybody, but are you really concerned about playing Baylor here? Or are you looking ahead to maybe the Big 12 tournament coming up later this week? That's something you got to factor in mind here, especially when you're talking about a Kansas team that hasn't been consistent, that hasn't been really all that great and fluid game in, game out at both ends of the court. They've had games where their offense has been good, offense has been bad, defense has been good, defense has been bad. That's basically what it's been for Kansas. They got not only have to win this game, they got to win it by at least 9 points. To cover this number, almost double digits. I don't trust them to do that. I'm agreeing with you, Drew. I would bet Baylor here for sure, not Kansas. Baylor, Makai Mason, he makes it go for Baylor. And he's going to have to be the guy that gets it going for them here in this game. Shoots the ball well. We know he's a guy that can shoot the ball well on the road. He's done that before. I think he's been battling also a little wonky ankle concern lately, but I think he's starting to show signs of getting that shot back, getting a little bit healthier game by game. That's huge for Baylor. They need him to be big time for them offensively. But Baylor plus points is probably a bet worth making. Not a big one for me, but I'll have a small play on the Bears.
Okay, Max, anything here on this Big 12 game? Also, open it up to any 2 o'clock games. I don't know if you have anything on LIU Brooklyn. I know you've been talking about them in the past. So anything else in the 2 o'clock range?
Yeah, no, I've already bet Baylor. I agree with everything Ian just said. This is just a situation and motivation spot that I have to take the Bears. So, and yeah, Makai Mason, he gets a chance to play in Kansas at their arena. Obviously, that's going to mean something for him, battling through so many years of injuries and coming from the Ivy League and having so much success this year in the Big 12. I think that he'll be able to get up for this game also. So I'm on Baylor. And as far as LIU, yeah, well, I like LIU. I like that Raekwon Clark motherfucker. I think that he wants to go to a second NCAA tournament in a row this year. And to do that, he's going to have to go through this St. Francis, Pennsylvania team with Keith Braxton and company. So I think that LIU obviously needs Ty Flowers to protect the rim. This is a guy that's had success so far versus St. Francis this year. And I think that if he is playing and scoring, I think that if he's getting good shot attempts and good to his spots on the floor, LIU is going to have a good shot at winning this game. Definitely, they got to shut down St. Francis from the three-point line. They have done that. This is a very efficient LIU team when it comes to scoring high percentage baskets. So the only thing that I need them to do is stay out of foul trouble because they don't play with a lot of depth. But I think that they are going to get on St. Francis. I've already looked into betting on them first half and full game. And for the show purposes, I'm going to take LIU first half and full game for half a unit each.
Nice. Good breakdown there, Max. And guys, we have some guys chiming in. Dom saying Zion officially announced out for today, the UNC Duke game. Good stuff there, Dom. Also, Rusty Shackelford saying he likes the Baylor pick as well. So three in a row there, Baylor plus the points. Looks like.
And by the way, I'm on that side with the Max too in the LIU game. I cashed with LIU Brooklyn the other night in a nice win for them against Sacred Heart in their first tournament game, sending the Pioneers home. I think the number one seed, which is St. Francis, Pennsylvania, in this tournament's got a real legit chance to go down in this game. Like, I think LIU Brooklyn could win this game outright. This is one of those prototypical examples in small conference tournament time of a team that underachieved during the regular season. That was LIU Brooklyn. They could have played a lot better than they did, but they're one of the most experienced teams in terms of juniors and seniors in the NEC Conference, Northeast Conference. And now I've got that feeling they could flip a switch. This is the defending champions in this conference tournament. They won it last year. Derek Kellogg, the coach, has been around the block. Coached at UMass for many years, coaching now the last few years at LIU Brooklyn, knows what he's doing, veteran coach, veteran team. Raekwon Clark, as Max mentioned, great senior guard for the Blackbirds here. They've got the poise, the experience to go into a road environment like this and win. And they actually beat St. Francis PA during the regular season on the road in the first meeting between these two teams. Then St. Francis PA got him back when they played in Brooklyn. But they split the regular season meetings. LIU Brooklyn plus points with an experienced team that may be showing signs of peaking at the right time. That they're live. They could win outright, I think, in that game.
Guys, we got some people asking about the UCF game, UCF Temple at 4. Want to open it up to the 2 o'clock time slot. And Devo, because he asked nicely, asking about the Syracuse game, please, guys. I believe that was a 12 o'clock game against Clemson. I could be wrong, though. Ian, anything on the Syracuse game or any other 3 o'clock time slot games you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I mean, for Syracuse, talk about an offense getting shut down and a defense getting lit up. That was Syracuse earlier this week against Virginia in the Carrier. I don't know if I've seen Virginia shoot the ball as well as they did early this week against Syracuse. I mean, 3 balls were just going down left and right, whether it was Kyle Guy, whether it was Hunter, whether it was Ty Jerome, everybody just draining perimeter to Jimmy's for Virginia all night long against Syracuse. So defensively, obviously, that 2-3 zone got shredded by Tony Bennett's team. We'll see if that defense can regroup a little bit here against Clemson. I'll tell you what, right now, Drew, I'm not laying 5.5 with Clemson. There's not much that impresses me. I've not been Brad Brownell's biggest fan over the years. I don't think he's a great coach by any stretch. I know Clemson's on that proverbial bubble. But must win doesn't equal will win. How many times do we have to say that on repeated shows? Just because you need the victory, you need this kind of win, Clemson, to boost your resume, doesn't mean you're going to get it. And it certainly doesn't mean you're going to get it by 6 points or more, which you're going to have to cover this number. Yeah, I like Syracuse. Give me Syracuse. I think they're coming into this game, catching points on the road. Clemson team, I don't trust laying points. I'll take the Cuse.
Okay. Max, what about you, man? Any 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock games you want to throw out before we get to the 4 o'clock games?
Yeah, I just want to go over Texas State.
Okay.
Obviously, this is a team that is battling with Georgia Southern and Georgia State for the Sun Belt title. So they need to beat and they need to win today. So I think that this is just a situational spot where you have Nigel Pearson, who is going to be the best scorer in this game. You do have the better 3-point defense from Texas State, and Texas State has not been afraid to go on the road and win this year. So I've already bet Texas State in the over. I like it. I think that they're great spots. I think that Texas State motivation, situationally, they're going to come to play today. And the work that they've done on the road is hard to ignore in conference play. So give me Texas State and give me the over in that game.
And Sun Belt Conference tourneys, that's in New Orleans, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And also some questions. When did you guys start? 10 a.m. Eastern we started. Pushed it up an hour from earlier Saturday. We got 3 p.m. game, Ole Miss. Ole Miss versus Missouri. Matt, Ian, do you think Ole Miss is in the tournament? And any thoughts here on this Ole Miss-Missouri game?
It's tricky with them. I still think they could do some more because they're good. I don't know if they've got that great body of work in terms of quality wins against some of the top 20, top 25. I think they could bolster that a little bit. I think they're a 50-50 team. From what I've seen, some people have them for in barely, and some people have them out right now. So it's really could go either way with Ole Miss. So these are big games for them. The SEC tournament, Drew, is going to be a big tournament for them. They're actually a team I'd be looking to back in the SEC tournament. Kermit Davis, the coach of Ole Miss, he knows how to get the job done in conference tournaments. He certainly did it at Middle Tennessee State. There's no question about that. He had a great conference tournament track record there. Just for not today, I'm not involved in this Ole Miss Missouri game, but since we're talking about Ole Miss, watch out for them in the SEC tournament. I think they're a team you can make some money with coming up in the SEC tournament in Nashville later this week. I think they're definitely going to be a team that going to be able to make some noise, cover some numbers, win some games against maybe some teams that you wouldn't expect them to, because Kermit Davis seems to get his teams to play well at tournament time. He did at Middle Tennessee State. Doesn't mean it's going to happen at Ole Miss, but I think he's a coach you would be a little leery of betting against in a tournament setting.
Max, want to come to you with the game. I know you know a lot about this conference, the AAC, UCF Temple. I don't know if it's a power conference or not. It's getting a little bit confusing. They got a bunch of good teams, a bunch of teams that should be in the tournament. And we got 139 as the total. Looks like Temple -1. UCF, always an interesting handicap. They're talented. They got Taco Fall down there. At Temple, their guard play has been good. I think -1 at home. UCF, Orlando, up to the Northeast. It's not the easiest trip here. I think Temple's the side going against UCF, one of my favorite colleges. But I like money more, man. I think Temple's the side. I haven't bet it yet, though, man. Want to get your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of sentiment today for this Temple game. There's Shiz Alston. I believe this is going to be his last home game. I think it's also the last home game for Fran Dunphy, so that makes it a little more bittersweet for Temple today. I just think that this Temple team has been able to show us over the past couple years that they are not afraid of anybody when they come into their building. And regardless of where they're playing home court-wise, I think that this Temple team is built to win. I love Nate Pierre-Louis. I like that he's the third guy that he's the third guy to get your attention, but he makes such good plays, whether it's deflecting passes, getting in passing lanes, and forcing a pass the other way. He drives to the bucket. He makes his free throws, which is always important to me. And he's not afraid to take a shot when the team needs a bucket and they're going through a scoring drought. So I'm looking at Temple here, absolutely. I think that UCF, this is a similar situation for what you're just saying. When a team's going north, coming from a hot place like Florida, I worry about them because it's not hot in Pennsylvania right now. And I just think that situationally, this UCF team is just due for a letdown spot. So I'm agreeing with you on Temple 100%.
Yeah, and I get your aspect of, kind of fading a warm weather team in cold weather. 100% in football, I think it matters. But in basketball, you think that matters as well, Max? Enough to where you'd put that much emphasis in the handicap?
I don't put that much emphasis, but I do take it in consideration because we have to think about the mental state of players. When you get off a plane, you walk out of the airport, and it's minus 15 degrees Celsius. That's a big bring down. I don't know how you stay positive and be like, oh my God, I'm so excited to go into Temple and beat these Owls. Like, I'm thinking about it from these perspectives.
That's an interesting, analytical perspective.
Absolutely, and I'm kind of laughing that Max used Celsius as well, and I'm gonna guess that a lot of people in watching the show are like me and don't calculate Celsius and Fahrenheit very well. But Ian, man, just jump in here. Your thoughts on Temple UCF?
Well, that's why I try to stick to Fahrenheit readings when I'm doing at shows, because I know people are going to be like, Celsius, what the hell are you talking about? That's Canadian temperature scale, Celsius, that we use. But I know the conversion. I know 0 Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit, and I know 30 Celsius is about 86 Fahrenheit. So there we go in the summertime. So that's just your conversion off the top of my head right there. But enough weather reports, enough about how cold or hot it is. It's going to be hot inside the Liacouras Center here for this game, I think, for Temple, because Fran Dunphy's last home game, senior night, the big three for Temple. It all starts and ends with them. Nate Pierre-Louis, Shiz Alston, Quentin Rose. They've done a marvelous job, those three guys with Temple. This is a legitimate win and you're in game for Temple as far as I'm concerned. If they're not in already, they're absolutely in the tournament if they win this game today. At home against UCF. They already beat Houston at home. That's gone a long way to help that resume, but I think they could use this win here today just to make 100% sure that they cement their spot in the big dance in a couple weeks. I think they got a chance to do it. They're at home. UCF's a damn good team. My one concern is there's no low post presence or size or anyone you've got to be concerned with for Temple down low. And if you're Taco Fall, stay out of foul trouble, you could absolutely eat Temple alive inside in this game. That is a matchup advantage clearly for UCF, but the spot's not in their favor. They got to go on the road off a huge, huge emotional win in a hard-fought, intense, physical, defensive slugfest against Cincinnati just a few nights ago. And now you got to try to ratchet it up again for what should be a frenzied environment and a very highly motivated, desperate Temple team. So it's a tough one. But I lean Temple too. I think the spot is really that good for them and that bad for UCF. But that matchup down low with Fall, I mean, the Temple is very weak in the paint, very weak in the low post. He could have a field day there. And if he does, UCF could steal it on the road.
Good breakdown there. We got that game on ESPN2, got Virginia, Louisville here at the 4 o'clock slate, and then we got to move down the card a little bit, guys. But if you're liking the content, everyone out there, we'd appreciate it if you press the like button, the thumbs up button. That will help us out, get the word out. And if you could retweet on Twitter, share on Facebook, trying to get the word out on the show, especially it being March. March Madness is here. We'll be doing this Saturdays and Sundays, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So come in and join us. We got Louisville, Virginia, 12.5, 11.5, depending where you're shopping, 126 the total. Max, anything here on this Virginia game? I'm to the point where Virginia is bet on only, man. The way that they're able to just put the ball in the basket and play great defense. I think that this Virginia team is really good this year, a team that can win the national championship. And also any other 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock games you want to throw out there, Max?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to be getting on Virginia first half. This is a play that I've been making a lot over the last couple weeks, and I'm on the over full game. I think that the Virginia definitely will come out fast. I think that they're going to be able to hit shots. I think that this is just a very efficient Virginia team that we're not accustomed to seeing. This is a team with Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter that can score a variety of different ways. They get to the line, they hit the three-point shots, and they get back on defense. You're not going to watch and see these guys not putting in an effort and let a guy get past them. So I like that kind of defense. They play pack line. I just look for the big men, Jack Salt and Mamadou Diakate, to get it going, and I just want to see some good defense, some good rebounding, and protect the rim and paint.
Okay. And Ian, anything here on Virginia? Quick thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough for me to back Louisville here in this game. Obviously, Virginia playing their last home game and playing great. I mean, but you played, you shot the lights out, and it's always tricky to lay points in this price range with teams that just shot the lights out. The way Virginia did in their last game. Usually there's a big time bounce, a big time regression shooting wise when you just insanely good like they did against Syracuse. But I don't know if that's enough for me to get me on the Louisville side. I mean, it's been a tough second half of the stretch of the season here for Chris Mack. A lot of games that they pissed away. It could come back to haunt them here as the season winds down. Virginia, to me, just playing too good. It's one of those teams I made up my mind, Drew, like months ago. Like, I got to have a damn good reason to fade Virginia. And right now they look like a team on a mission. To me, they've got every opportunity to be a Final Four team, even be a national champion. I'm going to still have to see it before I believe it, because I've been so impressed with Virginia in past regular seasons too. And then it's an early exit in March. Can they finally do it this year? We'll see.
Guys, we only got a few minutes left. We got best bets coming up. Michigan State wanted to touch on. Max, want to give you a couple minutes to go over some small games. I know that you concentrate on just throughout the whole board. If you want to throw those out to the watchers, got guys asking for picks and that such. But Duke, North Carolina, we already hit on. The big one, Michigan State tonight as well. We'll hit on, and then best bets. But Max, what are the small games you were looking to bet on today?
Yeah, I got 3 spots I'm going to bring to you guys right now. The Summit League tournament started today. South Dakota State's going up against Western Illinois. They've scored 85 and about 100 points in the 2 games against them today. I'm looking to get on the over. There's just too many weapons for this South Dakota State team, not even including Mike Daum, Skylar Flatton, Tevin King, David Jenkins. So there's lots of guys. This team's shooting 48%. They're shooting 48.9% from the field. They're allowing teams to shoot almost 50% from the field against them. Western Illinois is not doing any better. Both teams are allowing a lot of 3-point makes against them, over 40%. They both hit free throws above 70%. South Dakota State's very good in this price range. They're 3-1 ATS. I worry about them not starting fast, because we have seen recently that they have had trouble starting fast and had to come back. But I'm going up against that. I'm taking them first half. I'm taking them full game, and I'm taking the over full game. My next game is UC Irvine versus Cal Sun Northridge. Mark Gottfried's lucky to still have his job, because he's one of those scandalous coaches also. But the defense for Cal Sun is going to be pretty prominent here. They're going to have to shoot the 3 ball at their 40%, but UC Irvine doesn't let anybody shoot over 30% from 3 against them. UC Irvine's been shooting the ball really well right now. Evan Leonard and Max Hazard really been putting work in at home. They've been dominating first halves, and they're getting on the glass. This is a team that is committing less than 10 turnovers a game. And even with the scoring of Lamine Diani and his 24.5 points a game and Terrell Gomez, I think that UC Irvine's going to cover the first half, and I'm taking the full game over. And then my last game is pretty simple. University of Santa Barbara versus Cal Poly. Can't get on Cal Poly. Cal Poly's really bad ATS at home. I'm just hoping that UCSB starts fast and they continue it in the second half. The defense is going to be soft in this game. Both teams are allowing teams to shoot close to 50% from the field. So I think that UCSB is going to be able to get to the line. They're going to be able to make free throws. They're going to have a big advantage on the glass where they're plus 12. And I think that they're going to keep and limit the turnovers. So I'm getting on UCSB full game and full game over.
Great breakdowns, Max. And you even threw out some degenerate specials there. 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. Eastern starts as far as the get-back games. UC Irvine, I like that one. The Anteaters, their defense is one of the better defenses as far as percentages go in the country. They're 8 or 9 deep. They got size as well, a team that could make a run and get a tourney bid. But, you know, when you break this team down as far as handicapping them, they really haven't beat anybody, man. They're the best team they beat is like 150 in the Ken Pom ratings, especially in the last month. That their wins just aren't piling up. So I find that a tough handicap as far as rating them against other teams. I know this is a conference game, but would you look to bet this team, you know, maybe if they make the tournament?
No, I wouldn't be looking to bet them if they make the tournament. I just think that they don't play at a fast enough pace to warrant that kind of play versus someone that they're not going to have familiarity with, they're not going to have film with, and their players don't have experience playing against. I think that plays a big factor, and that's what's holding me back from getting on UC Irvine full game, because UC Irvine first half, this is where they've been more dominant, and we've seen Cal Sun Northridge get behind by 20 in the first half and come back. So when you have that type of scoring, and specifically Terrell Gomez, who's going to have the ball in his hands a lot in the second half for Cal Sun, the guy shoots 88% from the free throw line, and he's a mighty mouse when he's driving to the bucket. So I am worried that Cal Sun makes adjustments at halftime, but that's why I'm just going on UC Irvine first half.
Okay. Anteaters first half. Ian, any games you wanted to throw out overall on the board before we get Michigan State and best bets?
Yeah, I mean, the conference tournament lines have just started to be released over the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes, so still got to pour over them. But two I'm definitely looking at, one in the Missouri Valley, one in the Metro Atlantic. I'm looking to lay the 5.5 with Loyola Chicago against Bradley. The Ramblers look like Final Four Ramblers from last year in their win yesterday against Valpo. I mean, absolutely suffocating at the defensive end, the kind of defense they were playing last year in the NCAA tournament. You got to wonder if Loyola Chicago was just spending the whole regular season diddling around and screwing around and just being, not focused, not really not having their eyes on the prize, because they were a little up and down at times during the regular season. But March is here now. The conference tournament has arrived. It's time to flip the switch. It's time to turn things up, rev up our game, get serious. And I think we saw signs of that from Loyola Chicago. Williamson playing with the hand injury. It's not 100%, but enough to play. Having him on the floor is huge. They got all the big players from last year's team back. Marcus Towns, Clayton Custer, Cameron Krutwig, the big guy in the center position in the middle. That is a Loyola Chicago team that brings back most of the pieces from that great squad last year. Dangerous team. I think they take care of business today against Bradley. Northern Iowa, Drake is just coming out. I like Drake, but Drake's got some injuries, so I'm going to see what the status of some of those players are going into that game. I like Siena missed, plus the points against Rider in the Metro Atlantic. I don't like the way Rider played down the stretch. They didn't play great. They have probably some of the best talent in the Metro Atlantic, but they didn't play like it down the stretch. They struggled. Siena's got this game at their home court. This whole tournament's at the Times Union Center in Albany. That's Siena's home court. They're a slight underdog in that game. I like Jamion Christian as a head coach. It's a guy that had success in conference tournaments at Mount St. Mary's in the Northeast Conference when he coached there. He knows how to get his teams prepared, or should know how to get his teams prepared for a conference tournament like this. He's done well in these settings in the past. I think he can do the job here, getting points against Rider. I think that's a close game, maybe not win it, but I think you can get now 3 with Siena in that game against Rider, and I think they're a very capable team. That is a ultimate, by the way, guys, that is a ultimate clash of pace and clash of tempo in that game. Ryder's going to try to get this thing going as fast and up and down the court as you can, and Siena's going to make this a snail type of pace and grind it. I think you're talking about Rider top 10 in the country in tempo, and Siena's like 340th in the country in terms of tempo. So this is the ultimate pace war. Siena and Rider coming up tonight in the Metro Atlantic.
Good point there, Ian. That's always an interesting handicap. In Siena, they went on a run of unders earlier in the season. But guys, let's move down. 8 p.m. Eastern tip on ESPN. Michigan State, 135.5 the total. Sparty laying 4. There are a couple 3.5s out there. This one in East Lansing. Ian, come back at you. Quick thoughts, Michigan State tonight.
Yeah, I'm hail to the victor. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I like Michigan here, plus the points here. Great road win for them last time out against Maryland. Obviously, Michigan State went into Chrysler and Ann Arbor and beat them earlier this season, so you got the revenge motive here for Michigan. But I like that they're starting to the one issue with Michigan earlier in the Big Ten season was that they had some road performances that weren't necessarily that great. Obviously, the loss to Penn State still stands out when you think about it. But that road win against Maryland was very good in their last game. They've only been an underdog one other time, guys, this season, Michigan. I went back and looked. This is only the second time all season they've been an underdog. The one other time they were a dog was early in the season against Villanova. They won that game outright. In fact, they dominated Villanova in that game, winning outright as an underdog. So I like them in this role. I like them catching points. I like that great Michigan defense catching points, looking to avenge that loss earlier this season. Now, I know Michigan State at home has been very good at the Breslin Center there in East Lansing. Great home record, great home environment. Still a banged-up team. No Langford, no Ward, obviously. We know that. Guys have stepped up. I'll give them credit. Winston, Kenny Goins has been fantastic during this run. Matt McQuaid's been absolutely terrific as well. Stepped up, hit some big 3 balls for Michigan State with all these injuries that have crept up for Tom Izzo's team. He's really played a lot better during this stretch for the Spartans. So I don't sell the Michigan State short. Xavier Tillman, another guy. I mean, this is a team that's capable of winning this game, and it's never easy to go against Michigan State, especially only laying these few points at home. But I just think Michigan really comes in here with a point to prove. They're losing the first meeting with their defense. They won outright as a road dog the only other time they were in this role. So give me Michigan here, plus 3.5 or 4.
Yeah, it's a lot of 3.5 starting to show up now. So the market agreeing with you, Ian. Max, I'm kind of on the other side, though. Ian brought up Winston. That guy is awesome as the point guard for Michigan State, and well-coached team, Tom Izzo. I kind of think Michigan State's the side. I haven't bet it yet, though. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I bet Michigan already. I got +4. I would have taken him on the money line, but the money lines didn't come out already. Fact is, Ian's right. Revenge City. I'm gonna be Jay Money's cousin. Revenge Max. Okay, and Michigan's getting it today. Michigan's going into that arena. They are saying, "Hi, Cassius Winston. We're going to get you in foul trouble. You're going to be on the bench, and we're going to take advantage." Kenny Goins, "Hi, I know you've been developing your 3-point shot, but today we're going to put Iggy Brazdeikis on your ass, and he's going to shut you down." So I'm taking Michigan. Go Wolverines. Go Gabe Morency. Let's go Michigan.
Yeah, there you go. Iggy, can't you see? Sometimes your size, it hypnotized me. Yeah, there you go. So a great day to bring out Notorious B.I.G. It's the anniversary of his passing today. So we missed that guy. He was a hell of a hip-hop artist in my day growing up as a kid.
Well said, Ian. How many years ago was that?
22. Yeah, 22 years ago. It was 97. So it was the 22nd anniversary of it today, this very day, March 9th. Terrible tragedy there, guys. And hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in, guys. We're running up against it time-wise. We got best bets here going today, and we'll be back 10 a.m. Eastern going forward. We got Texas Tech, Iowa State. I'll lead us off for best bets. You can follow me on Twitter at DrewMartinBets. 627-628 on the rotation board. It is on ESPN News, actually, and there are 2s out there, so I'll take -2. Texas Tech, the resurgence on offense, and one of the best defenses in the country going against Iowa State. Good in their own right, a tournament team, sure, but I think Texas Tech can handle them on the road. Short number here, Texas Tech -2 for my best bet. Max on Twitter at MaxwellSmart420. What do you got for best bets, buddy?
Yeah, give me a piece of George Mason. I think George Mason covers his 2.5 points or 3 points today. I got it at 2.5. I still bet it at 3. I think that this team, led by Otis Livingston and Mr. Justin Kier, are going to be able to take it on the road. They're going to be able to play some good defense. They're going to be able to hit some opportune 3-point shots, and they're going to reward me with a play of the day winner because I like them and they should like me.
So George Mason, there are 4s out there. So George Mason -4. Is that what you're on?
Yep, I'll take it.
All right. And what are you doing? What are you doing tonight? Where are you watching all these games, Max?
Well, I'll be watching at the Landing Strip, which is a strip club close to the airport. They have very nice food, very good dancers, and multiple TVs. And they indulge all my yelling because I do a lot of cursing and yelling when I'm watching winning or losing money. But they know at the end of the day, I'm Maxwell Smart, and what do I do best? I'm not the best college basketball capper, but I am the best supporter of local strippers, and I will be doing that tonight.
The Landing Strip, I like it, for a strip club next to the airport. Max, are there any strippers that watch this show? Do you ever tell them, like, hey,
yeah, let's get some strippers viewing our shows here. Let's go, mister. I know every local stripper in town.
I wish. Most of them are pretty detested by the fact that I have this whole talking about stripper things. But the fact is, they just live such an interesting life that I can't stop talking about them. I want to be around them all the time. but I'm here with you guys instead.
Christ, bring some on camera for crying out loud.
I would love to pull a Sonny Vega. I will try. I will try.
Oh, man, Max, good stuff. I hope you enjoy it tonight at the landing strip. It sounds like a good time. Be safe, have fun. Guys out there, thank you for watching. 400 live people. Please give us the likes. We love that. It helps us out a lot. So we appreciate you tuning in. Ian Cameron, last, certainly not least, follow him on Twitter at Babano. Ian, hit us with the best bets, man.
Yeah, tough decision because there's a lot of good games that are worth betting for me today. But let's go with one from the small conference tournaments because I really have more bets going in those today than the regular season. Let's go with Blackbird soaring in the dead of night. Take that #1 seed down and learn to fly. LIU Brooklyn +4.5. The Blackbirds to get it done against St. Francis, PA. I think they can win that game outright. Love the experience. Love having the senior guard in road environments. They will be undaunted by it. This team can get it done on the road. They did last year, won a bunch of road games in this conference tournament to win the conference tournament title. Very live dog. LIU Brooklyn, Blackbirds +4.5, my best bet.
+4.5, liking the dog there. We got Max on George Mason -4, myself on Texas Tech -2, Jewish sex learner, Don Ritchie, JC Alvarez, Matt Randall, everybody out there. Mikey D, appreciate you guys coming into the show, letting us know what's on your mind, what you're betting. Best of luck today on the college basketball betting boards. Max, Ian, have a great Saturday, great weekend, guys. Best of luck to you two as well. Thanks for the time, and we will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck.